Thomas.
St. Thomas, okay, that's what I was thinking, that she grew up on one of those islands.
Now it snows there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not that we really care. We still got a little bit of time. We're ahead of schedule. Can you get me numbers on how many absentees were sent out for this runoff? Do you have it broken down by, the race, either Fayetteville or Springdale? Oh, you got numbers
Well,
on there?
it may be in here, Becky gave me some reports, and I tend to stick those
Oh,
things in
gotcha,
here.
yeah. I've just got some people asking.
But it may be actually in my office.
Okay.
I feel like it was like 3,200
For both.
for both. And so I'll have to ask her.
Yeah, I'd kinda like a breakdown between the two
Fayetteville
races.
and,
Yeah, 'cause that should be pretty easy to,
Yeah.
determine since there was no bleed over.
Yeah, I'll ask Becky.
Okay.
'Cause I know she gave me a report
Mhm.
of, that had like numbers
I
in it.
actually thought I might go up to see her.
Oh, okay. So,
That might save you.
I mean, we had, what, 720 or something absentees that we actually counted? I think so, which is greater than any one location
Right.
that we had. Because
Okay.
early vote was 360, and then none of the polling locations did over, maybe Genesis did over 200, maybe?
Oh,
718 is what we accepted and
Okay.
counted that night.
okay.
There's still just a handful in here for you guys to review.
Oh, okay.
718.
What are the envelopes? Are those to mail out?
Yeah, I've got everything ready to mail out. So there's 40 right here of people who received an absentee ballot but came and voted in person.
Oh, wow.
And then these two didn't show ID, and then this
Gotcha.
one is not countable.
Okay.
And then these are the letters for the voters,
Mhm.
absentees, that we did not count, or we can't count.
Right.
And then those letters that I haven't stuffed yet are the signature ones.
Okay.
But I've got them prepped and ready,
So we're
depending on what.
really, that's not very many right there. That have
No,
That, signatures.
no.
Okay.
And then we mailed out 19 letters already to the voters
Oh.
that didn't send ID
Okay.
with their absentee ballot to come back in by Monday at noon,
Okay.
so. Hey, Max.
Good morning.
How are you guys doing?
We're good. How are you? Welcome.
Oh, I'm doing all right. All right. I got
Okay.
roofers at my house,
Okay.
replacing the roof, and whole big deal getting them out of getting my car out this morning anyway.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's a little crazy, but welcome to home ownership.
Huh?
Have you had a flat tire yet?
Yeah, not yet, I know.
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
They got a big metal, the
Donkey.
magnet deal that they're out there
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to get the nails. But I don't,
Yeah.
It's
We'll see.
100%.
Yeah, I know, I believe that. I believe that.
Yeah.
Well, then you're not careful when they rip their shingles off either.
Yeah, they
Throw
wind
them
up
in
in
the
the
yard or in a trailer.
Exactly, yeah,
Attached to everywhere.
Yeah.
exactly.
It's crazy. All right, well, it is after 9. We are ready to begin. First item of business, review provisional ballots from the runoff.
Okay. So there were 43 total provisional ballots cast for the runoff. 40 were for people who had been sent an absentee ballot, but they showed up to the polls to vote in person. And their absentee ballots were never returned. So these are countable. There are two for the voters who did not show ID at the polls, but they did sign the affirmation. So these two are countable. And then there is one that is not countable. This voter does not live in Fayetteville Ward 1, but he showed up to vote, and the state sets up our general election and the general election runoff. And the way they did it this year was very complicated, and I think that that definitely needs to be something that the county clerks need to talk to the state about and let them set up their own elections, even if it is the general and the general runoff. Because what they did was, instead of letting us just pull over the precincts eligible for this election, they pulled over every single precinct and then had to mark in the tablets the precincts where the people were not able to receive an absentee, or not able to receive a ballot. So in the Power Profile system, which is where the clerk reviews to see if someone is eligible to vote in an election, typically it's marked not eligible to vote, but because they pulled everything over, one of the clerks was thinking that this voter was eligible to vote because it didn't have that disclaimer that it typically has. And we had the gentleman on the phone, and they were trying to update the tablet, but the tablet kept not wanting to issue the voter a ballot. And so they voted a provisional, but what it was basically is that voter does not live in Ward 2. So even though the screen was showing that it didn't give a disclaimer.
Right.
If you had scrolling down on the screen, it shows which ward they were in. But
was this on the edge of?
No, there's no question that the voter
Okay.
is in Ward 2.
Okay.
That's not the issue. The issue has to do more with the fact that
Procedural.
the way the system was set up for the runoff election, like we had all 171 precincts in our tablets. And so all those people that weren't eligible were marked in the tablet ballot something, what did it say, ballot, no issue ballot or something like that. It was like red, but in the clerk system where it normally would say voter not eligible, it didn't give that disclaimer. And so it kind of made it a little confusing on which voters were eligible to vote. So this voter did vote at the polling location because we weren't sure exactly what was going on with the
Did we have
system.
any other ones that
This is
were
the
like
only
that?
one. No, this is the only one.
But that's a crazy way of doing it.
Well, and that, I think, has to do with the clerk didn't have her autonomy to set up the election herself. Because normally when the clerk sets up a special election, they go in and they pull the precincts over into Power Profile that are eligible for the election. And then when our poll books are created, it uses what the clerk pulled over.
Yeah.
For this election, the state, when they set it up, so the state just automatically sets it up, they just went ahead and pulled over every precinct
Why did the state set it
The
up?
set-
Because
the
of the
state-
COVID restrictions?
The state always sets up the primary and the general, and I don't know if it's, I don't know exactly why the state sets those up, if it's because they're being helpful, and it's easy for them to set it up for all the counties, because every county is different, and every
Right,
county has
right.
different levels of staff and all of that.
True.
But I know on Becky's end, sometimes that
It's
does
not
cause,
helpful.
it does cause an issue.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, when you keep saying state, is that Secretary of State's
Secretary of
office?
State's office, yes, yes.
So we can talk with them.
It would be the clerks, it would be the
Oh.
clerk who would need to talk to them, because this ultimately comes down to, it's in the clerk's office, and it's an issue that the clerk has to deal with.
Yeah.
But I know that that's why we have this provisional ballot.
But we haven't had this particular issue in the past.
No.
So this voter cast the provisional ballot because the Secretary of State's office changed their process for this runoff election.
Did they change it, or did they, it just follow through on what they've done in the
So
past?
what they do for one county applies to every county. It all has to do with power profile. And because they pulled over all the precincts in one county, it automatically pulls over all the precincts for all of them. That's my understanding. I don't know exactly how all power profile, how it works. I just know that for the primary and for the general, the state is the one that kind of sets up the precincts. And in this case, they set it up to where all 171 precincts were in this election, where I think the clerk would have just set it up where only Ward 1
Right,
precincts were there,
Sure.
and only the city, because,
Yeah, and it seems like it would be a whole lot simpler
yeah.
to do it that way.
But the facts are right now, it's a county clerk and Secretary of State's office issue. And nothing, we don't have any input in that
Right.
We don't,
at this point.
Other than to recommend.
yeah, I think, you know, I mean, you would have to talk to the clerk, but, would they prefer to be able to create their own elections for everything, or let the state continue to create the election for the general and the, I know it also created an issue for sending out the absentee ballots, because I think she had hoped to be able to just copy and paste, and the way it was done, she had to go in and manually choose all of these precincts that were receiving an absentee ballot.
Well, what's the county clerk's opinion at this point in time? Does she think that they are going to pursue it as a group?
I don't know, then that would definitely be something that they may discuss, because, you know, the question is, did Benton County, you know, because you would think it would have been the same issue for Benton County too, and sometimes it's just a frustration thing too, you know, because you're like, oh, well, I thought we were gonna do it one way and ended up gonna do it that way,
Right.
so, yeah.
How many runoffs did Benton County have?
4.
Okay.
We should let's just be clear then in the letter to the voter, you know, that the voter is registered in Ward 2.
Yeah,
And, you know, I don't know if we can enclose another copy of their voter registration card or something that shows it, or, I'm sure if they go on voter view, it says they're registered in Ward 2.
yeah,
But,
so.
okay.
All right, well, problems, but we can't solve them.
No, we can't, yeah, this would be, I mean, we'll obviously deal with this, but I just think, you know, that may be something the clerk wants to look into, about having her own ability to create the general and the primary precincts, but I don't know.
Well, maybe a good helpful thing would be, you said you have to scroll down in the poll book to get to where it says the ward. Maybe that could be, programmed higher on the
That's in
page.
Power Profile.
Oh, it is?
And so what they were looking for in Power Profile is that disclaimer.
Right.
Typically, when they pull up a voter, on that first screen that they see, there's a disclaimer that says, voter
vote.
not eligible for
Yeah.
this election.
Right.
And the disclaimer wasn't there.
Yeah.
So then you're thinking, oh, well, then they must be eligible
Yeah.
for this election.
Yeah.
But they ended up not being. So these are all the yeses
Okay.
for you to sign.
All right. So
And then
let's
I'll
go
hold
ahead
out the
and-
no, and we'll do it separate. Because once you get those signed, we'd like to go ahead and open them up and start feeding
Yeah,
them into
count
the
it.
machine,
Yeah.
if that works.
Okay.
And then we have the yes letters prepared to send out to them,
Oh, okay.
to let them know that their ballot did count.
Okay. Would you like to distribute them?
Yes.
And that way we'll have fewer hands on it. Thank you. By the way, number 4, Max,
Mm-hmm.
that's Friday at 9 AM, not Thursday.
Yeah, I was thinking we could meet Thursday.
Oh, okay. Got it, thank you. I'll change that right now on my calendar.
Yeah, I figured you might wanna,
Yeah, I appreciate that. Do that right now.
well, a lot less than on election day. so quick?
They probably have their absentee ballot in there.
Oh.
Max is comparing your signature.
No, you should look at some of these, you couldn't. You would think a kindergartner did all of them, and not the same person.
That was Becky. I was like, didn't know we were talking about her.
Her ears were burning.
Watching?
No, she called, the SOS's office had called to see if we were gonna turn in any receipts for the, CARES Act, but we weren't because we used
Right, the other money.
the other grant.
Yeah.
But she wanted to confirm that.
Well, will she be able to, submit for the CARES Act then?
She submitted what she was going to
Okay.
with us for the overtime and for the part-time, because I think on the state side, for the federal side, so for instance, we ordered all those ballots, or we ordered all the envelopes and all of that. Well, we could only be getting reimbursement for what we actually used, but for this, we were able to just submit the grant for the whole cost of it. So, yeah.
Okay, but
And-
she's got some costs other than the overtime and the part-time, right?
Yes, but she said she was okay
Oh,
with what she had,
okay,
so.
okay. You want me to sign this one?
Yeah, so this is the no
The no.
one.
Is that all of them?
That's it for these,
For the provisional?
for the provisionals, and then I have absentees for
Got it.
review.
Under other, is that, not incorrect?
Right,
Okay.
and,
I'll let you fill it.
yeah, I'll prepare a letter and send
Okay.
to the voter.
Okay, those are provisional, and now we're going on to absentees. I don't wanna rush you.
No, we can do these while you guys are doing the absentees. So, on the absentees, okay. So these are our different groups for the absentees. We had, I guess I need to look at that one. We had two where the date of birth was, yeah, I mean, and it was clearly wrong. And it was like, one was 19, and this is sad, one was 1927, but on one piece of paper, the other one was 1928. So, I mean, like, clearly, there's no, the voter statement was either missing or just not filled out at all, but they just signed it. So they didn't fill out any information, no address, no date of birth, nothing, just a signature on some of them,
On the voter statement?
on the voter statement.
They sent it back, you just didn't fill it out?
Yeah. This one had no ballot in it. And then, this one, the voter ID was missing, and they did not sign the affirmation, but we have already sent them letters
Right.
to let them know that they have until Monday to come in.
Okay, how many we got in there?
There were 19
Okay,
of those,
so potentially, we could count those.
yes. And then these are the ones where the signature didn't match, or I won't say didn't match, there was a question about the signature, so these would be for you to review.
Okay.
So, two of them where it says need to add to list, this means we had been working the Excel list as we were going along. They're not on my Excel list, which means I'll need to, prepare addresses for them, so that's that notation on those.
All right, well,
So these are the ones.
look at the signatures. Yeah. Preparing signatures on voter statements. Oh. That's irrelevant, so we've got two.
We gotta say the voter's name.
Oh, that's right, we do have to say the voter's name. John L. is that Vargo? I don't even,
Yeah, that's a no then?
I'm gonna say no. I mean, there's enough doubt there. It's,
Do we need to fold this back up or
Yeah,
should
we
we just put it in
need
the
to-
file?
we need to put it together.
Any resemblance.
No. I mean, to be honest, here, it looks like somebody just scribbled it. That's what it says. Yeah. All right, that's a no. Statement is Ryan Davis.
Ryan was, same to me.
I'm not convinced.
R, the Y.
I'd say no.
I'll repeat all my previous comments in the last meeting. Is there any requirements, signatures, or anything I said at the other one, I'll say it in this one. I'm not gonna repeat it just because it's,
No.
there's no point, you know, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like this, but,
I don't like it either, but there needs to be an opportunity to.
but they're both clear.
But, so the attorney is back, attorney is back.
So what's the drill on that? It doesn't.
It cannot count, if power attorney signs, it cannot count.
Yeah, I think that one.
This is Carolyn G. Brown. Okay. What, if if an attorney knows that that's not gonna count.
Well, it's an attorney in fact, it's not a,
Okay.
not an attorney at law, it's an attorney in fact.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna put this one as a no, but in a separate, or I don't know, do whatever the letters.
Is that the power of attorney one?
It does say it on the front of it,
Yeah.
Okay.
maybe different level.
I think-
It's just someone who has power of attorney for them for, I don't know what reason, you know, it's often. Cognitive reason.
Yeah, that's the issue, it's not a time.
Well, you know,
There's a
I
scribble and
gotta
then
say,
there's
those
a
are,
script, those
those
scribbles.
are pretty darn identical scribbles, aren't they?
Same scribble to me.
Wow.
Like those signatures I was drafting this morning, just closer.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Now,
What was that guy's name?
oh, I'm sorry, Randy V. Faddis,
Okay.
Faddis.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Susan
read the name.
Michelle Collier.
Oh, she didn't sign it. Well, she, oh, okay, that was, all right,
Oh,
all right, she didn't sign it. Yeah,
Different,
yours.
Collier looks the same to me.
That would be my fault, is all yours. I'm comfortable with that. The S's are different, but actually, the small S and the U are pretty much different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I've done that on occasion too. All right. This is, Shane Drain. Down here.
I don't know if you could print me a report, a summary report before we.
I don't know why that one ended up in our file.
Well, no, but
Look at the
look at the end, you've got
Yeah,
the
but that's
end
just an
there.
extra
On
squiggle
two-
line
on
that
two
runs
places.
off. The change is like the change is like the.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like exactly the same.
Same.
All right, so let's count that one.
Randall Nicholas Beck.
I
Fit.
guess that's a good information.
It's the double squiggle again, and it's, you see the angle to the line? Again, I'm no handwriting expert, but
Yeah,
me either, I think it was close enough.
all right.
We only have to compare under the law.
Right.
We don't have to match.
Yeah.
So
We
that one
have to
was,
have some guidelines.
that one was a count?
Yeah, that's
Cool. Margaret Jeanette Barber.
Good to me.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah,
So that's a yes.
that's a yes.
Here's my proposal, if you include an ID, that the signatures should not have to compare the signatures. If you include a copy of an approved Arkansas ID, that should take away this requirement of us comparing the signatures.
I just think something that,
I
But
was,
you'd include a copy of the ID. You'd have
They
to have
do-
somebody's ID.
I was thinking that if you included a copy of the ID, we could look at the ID for the signature, like to give us another,
Wait, hang on here, sorry, Jennifer. So the POA, power of attorney signed it, but on the actual line, I think, well, I don't know, signature there, I think the power of attorney signed it, that was you guys saying?
That's kind of what it looks like to me.
For Brenda Thompson. Yeah, it looks, I mean, it looks like it's an issue.
So since he sent it, or here's the,
You know. Sorry, Jennifer, what was?
oh, I was, I was saying, if they included a photo ID, that if there was a question about the signature, that we could look at the photo ID signature.
is that allowed though?
It's not, that's what I'm saying, like, if, and I almost think, like, if they do include an ID, like, if their date of birth was missing, or their address was missing, or their signature, there was a question about whether it compared, you could use the ID
Sure.
Is it Gary?
for those things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I agree.
not
I
what it is.
think that would be good. That's a good suggestion, because when you're at the polls, you know, you get another
Yeah,
shot at these
right.
questions, right?
Right.
It's not like a one-time shot, and that's your second shot if you include, I mean, if you include an ID, no one has a copy of someone else's ID that's gonna send in to try to cast a ballot. That's just ridiculous. There's no way that's ever gonna happen. So if you include a copy of the ID, a driver's license, or some other form, that's your verification. Like, the reason for the signature has been around for a long, signature comparison has been around a long time, but the reason for it was because we didn't have a voter ID law.
These are no.
And that was the only form of comparison to verify someone's identity. But now, someone has to include, we've added the voter ID requirement, and someone has to include a copy of the ID, or they just sign it, but if they include a copy of the ID, that's your verification. That shows you who the voter is. That shows you your info. So to me, if you include a copy of the ID, we should not have to compare.
Into there.
If you don't include a copy of the ID, and you just sign that verification, then yeah, maybe you still compare to. You see what I mean? It's like an additional, we're creating an additional step for verification.
Do you remember where that is in the law? Because I feel like the signatures was an important component of that. Am I wrong?
Well, the signatures has been around for absentee ballots forever.
Right.
And then we added voter ID, which added the additional requirements to include an ID.
But what you're saying is either or, does the law allow for that?
It doesn't right now.
No.
But I think it should allow, if you include a copy of your driver's license, I don't think there's any reason we should be comparing those two signatures, because our concern here is it not actually being the voter.
Yeah.
You know, the person
Yeah,
who's
right,
casting.
right.
No, they've included a copy of their driver's license or something else. That's our verification that that's the voter. You see what I mean? It's not the signature, that's a faulty verification tool. Having a copy of the ID, that's a lot stronger verification tool than just looking at verifying who the voter is. Right? It's a photo ID. I mean,
I see what you're saying.
they've added a requirement and not thought about, when the legislature passed voter ID, they never thought about this on the back end,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, there's a lot of things they haven't thought about on the back end.
Yeah, exactly, and I think this is one that's just come to light this time around. But to me, that's a pretty easy, fair, reasonable, you know, change in the law
Mhm.
that protects voting just as much. There's no way that it doesn't. Somebody's still gotta include a copy of their ID with the ballot, or if they just sign, then they would still compare the signatures. And then you still have that process. I don't know, that's my suggestion I'm throwing out there.
Yeah.
If you guys have any other
Well,
ideas.
the only thing is, Maxine, and I'm gonna say you're right or wrong, I'm just saying it's the way it is now,
Yeah.
and until it's changed, that's, what we deal with.
Oh, no, I agree, I'm saying, Bill, for the session, I think that's what they should change, so we don't have to do this again. That would take care of 75% of this, because those we just looked at, I think all those folks that included in ID look like it, or maybe there were one or two that didn't, but
Yeah.
Has been counted, it's on the record.
I don't know, that's my off-the-cuff proposal here.
Noted.
But
For discussion purposes,
Yeah, yeah.
to try to,
Yeah.
since we're talking about legislation, it just seems like a practical solution to that one issue.
The machine really ate the ballot. It counted it, but then,
But ate it, huh?
but then it didn't let it drop.
Oh, my.
One other thing I noticed too with the absentee ballots for the runoff election, is, so when we send off our instant runoff ballot, remember you asked me about how
Yes.
come there were so many undervotes?
Right, right.
And why was that? So when we send off our instant runoff ballot, we put on there that we want the voters to rank. So like if there's 4 candidates, we want you to rank your choices, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So depending on who's on the ballot, we would then know which one
Right.
would be your first choice, because even if only 3 and 4 were on the ballot, we would know that you preferred 3 over 4.
Yeah.
I noticed that the ballots that were sent from the ones where they just email the ballots
Mhm.
to anyone overseas, ES&S creates those, and I didn't notice in the instructions that it asked you to rank
Mm.
the voter, so they would just vote for one candidate, which meant if they didn't pick one of the candidates that was in the runoff,
Mhm.
that ended up being
Yeah.
a blank
Is
ballot. And we don't have any control over those that go out.
Is that a federal requirement, or, because we don't have ranked choice voting in Arkansas?
We don't. It's with the instant runoff ballots. So that's the only time it is used, because basically, we're sending a ballot over to Turkey.
Mhm.
And there's no way to be able to send the runoff ballot, because you would never be able to get it mailed, they receive it, and then send it back. So you send a ballot that has all the different
Choices,
runoffs that there could potentially be.
Right.
And that's the only time they use that rank
Mhm.
voting,
Mhm.
because you don't know who's going to be in the runoff.
Mhm.
And I noticed on some of those ballots that came back from the military
That's
ones
still
and
been a
overseas,
second choice.
they didn't have those instructions on there.
Okay.
So
But-
they just
but I
simply
guess-
voted for one candidate.
I guess what I'm asking is that a federal requirement that ES&S is following just as a matter of course, or have they been given instruction from some entity
I don't know.
on that?
I don't-
Because that seems kind of like a judgment on ES&S's part if it's not a federal requirement.
I honestly don't know how the instant runoff ballots, if it is a mix of Arkansas statute and federal
Mhm,
statute,
mhm.
part of the
Yeah,
HAVA
that's
Act
Help
and
America Vote.
and all of that. I honestly don't know. All I know in that's the other thing. We don't ever see those ballots
Right,
that are,
right.
that are emailed.
Which is what makes me think that could be on the federal side.
It could be, because they simply take our BOD that we create,
Mhm.
and then they make the ballot,
Right.
and then they go through ours and make the instant runoff one.
Mhm.
And they put instructions on there, but I don't know, I need to look at it closer to see if it had ranked
Yeah,
instructions on there. We just noticed that a lot of voters only voted
for the one.
for the one candidate. That's why there were, so many,
Got it.
blank ones. I mean, not, for this
Yeah,
type of an
undervote.
election, there were quite a few.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm gonna count these 5 that you accepted.
Well, that's a question you could ask just for information.
And find out,
Right.
yeah,
I cannot imagine that they would take it upon themselves to do that.
Exactly.
There's some dictate coming down from some authority.
That's kind of the way I feel. Yeah.
Election.
I mean, if they were making that judgment without instruction from, say, a federal, mandate, then I would find that problematic.
Whatever the instructions are, they would have to come from the state level on the ranked choice voting. I mean, those instructions.
You think that would, but,
The instructions themselves have to come from, not the requirement of sending the voter a ballot or
so,
letting, there could be federal law there, but the actual instructions about ranked choice voting, to me,
Huh?
it sounds like just an omission
Oh.
from ES&S
Okay.
of that part of the instruction.
well, Jennifer said she thought she saw it on there, right?
what,
The ranked choice?
we put, when we make our instant runoff ballots, we put those instructions
Oh,
on there.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So ours that we prepare and send have the instructions on how you're supposed to vote.
Mhm.
I need to go back and look at their ballot to look to
The
see
ES&S.
if it actually had those type of instructions, because those were the ballots that we noticed that people didn't, they
Put a
only
second
selected
choice.
one candidate.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that certainly is something that needs to be clearer, who's
Could you do me a summary
responsible for
with
that.
group detail?
Well, the instructions
Okay.
have to just come from
For
the
December,
state,
gotcha.
right? I mean, or ES&S just
But-
has their own instructions, or, I mean, it sounds like ES&S isn't getting the instructions from the counties.
Or from the state,
Yeah,
because
or
see,
from
we
the
got
state.
those from the state.
Oh, yeah, well then, if ES&S got them from the state, they should have it on there.
Well,
Item of inquiry.
Item of
Yeah.
inquiry.
yeah, that needs to be followed
And we
up on.
also noted in the primary election, they sent instant runoff ballots that were for the judicial races, ES&S did.
Oh.
So we got some because voters were confused because
Yeah.
they got 2 ballots, and they were like, which,
What's going on
Yeah.
here, yeah. Huh. Okay. Well, more inquiries. Do you remember what part of the statute has the signature info, Matt?
Oh, let me see, I had it open the last time. Would have been too easy to have it attached it.
I did mine, but I didn't bring my law book, but I had mine.
Well, I tell you what, after a while, the tabs start to,
Yeah. The weather, though.
get muddled.
They changed the book often enough that,
That's true, you can't,
I haven't copied them all over.
yeah.
it doesn't have a lot on it, because that's, and run it into that, whatever effort that we made. So we added an additional 47 ballots to, the total. Or new total should be 2,446.
Say that again, please.
2,446 is what our new total should be.
446.
There weren't enough ballots in any of this, so it
Make a difference, yeah, I didn't think they would.
Thank you.
Saw somebody online said 5.32% our turnout.
Well, we put they're not taking into consideration,
Yeah,
these are small populated races. We're not looking at 84,000 people.
right. Yeah.
Then the only other ballots we would have to count would be if anyone brought in,
Their ID.
right, but
Yeah.
otherwise we'll be set to certify on Friday.
Okay. Yeah, and we still got a provisional hearing that day.
Yes,
Okay.
For the
I was gonna
one-
say, couldn't we certify before that if nobody shows up by Monday? But as long as we've got
right, that one,
provisionals, we're locked into that.
yeah. So,
Okay, number 3, count accepted provisional ballots and absentee ballots, and we've done that. So, anything further on that?
I think that's it on that.
Okay, you're gonna send out those letters.
Yes, we'll mail out the letters to all the voters to let them know, either their provisionals counted, did not count, and then for the absentees, why their absentee ballot did not count.
Okay, great. The provisional hearing and certification is gonna be Friday at 9 a.m. on the 11th of December,
Is it at 9 a.m.?
at
Yes.
9 a.m., yeah.
Yeah.
Is that good for you?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. We don't have to wait for the mail, though, okay?
We don't have any, that
Overseas.
overseas.
We are,
Okay.
okay,
Okay,
got it.
other business?
All right now.
All right, we're adjourned. Did you find that, Matt?
No, I don't. I'll look, Renee.
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I do, 'cause
Tom, you got a copy?
I feel like I need to refresh my memory on that continually.
I need to dig in more. I have it.
Okay.
I'll do that.
I think I have the extra one here.
We are adjourned.
Do you need me to get that list to Becky then?
I'm gonna
I
go
can.
up there right now.
Oh, okay.
'Cause I had a couple things I wanted to ask her about.
Okay,
And, if I can't get with her,
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll let you know.
I'll,
Yeah.
just let me know and I'll follow up with her.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Switch back and forth with this, meeting. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, here's your pen, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's all good, though. Fun.
Well, it's part of it right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the bill.
Yeah.
All righty.
All right, thank you guys. See ya.
All right,
Okay, now.
bye.
Okey dokey.
I think
All's
Debbie's
well
turning
that
us
ends well.
off.
We're pretty much over the hump on this.
We are.